Life can start to feel full, but not meaningful. The calendar is packed, the responsibilities are handled, the day keeps moving. But somewhere inside that rhythm, something quietly feels unfulfilled. Not broken, not dramatic, just disconnected. Like you're moving through life instead of actually living it. And the question that slowly builds is, am I choosing my life or just keeping up with it? Because there is a difference between doing what needs to be done and living with intention. Today, we're slowing this all down. We're talking about what it really means to live with purpose, not as a big life overhaul, but as something you can practice in the way you show up every day. Because purpose doesn't start later after everybody else is provided for. It starts with awareness right now. You're listening to or watching Power and Purpose Within. I'm Kori Burgess, and this is a space for those who are ready to stop living on autopilot and start living with awareness and intention. Here we talk about emotional healing, self-worth, mindset, and personal growth. But more than anything else, we talk about honesty. When you become honest about how you're living, you're finally gaining the power to change it, not through pressure, but through intention. Disconnection doesn't happen all at once. It builds slowly through repeated patterns, through saying yes without checking in, through staying busy instead of pausing, through doing what's expected instead of what feels aligned. And over time, you stop asking yourself the real questions. Am I still connected to what matters to me? Or does this even matter to me anymore? Am I living from choices or habit? Am I present in my life or just managing it? When those questions disappear, autopilot takes over and life becomes something you respond to instead of something you intentionally shape. Not because you don't care, but because you stopped pausing long enough to notice. What's the difference between busy life versus intentional life? Let's bring this clarity to you right now, okay? A busy life is full of activity. An intentional life is full of awareness. You got that? Busy means you're reacting to what's in front of you. Intentional means you're choosing how you respond. Busy says, I'll just handle what comes my way. And intentional says, does this align with me? Be very aware of this. You can be productive, successful, responsible, and still unaligned underlined if your actions are not connected to your values. Recognize that fulfillment doesn't come from doing more. It comes from doing what matters with awareness. So important, awareness. Living intentionally is not about perfection. Yay, it's about presence. It sounds like this. I'm going to slow down before I make a decision. I'm going to notice how I actually feel before I commit. I'm going to check to see if this feels aligned with me. It shows up in small things. How you wake up, how you speak to yourself, how you respond when life feels overwhelming. The more you practice awareness, the more your choices start to reflect who you deeply are, not who you've been trained to be, but who you actually are beneath the noise. You may ask yourself, how do I start living with purpose? Well, the good news is you don't need to change your entire life. You just need to become more present in it. Start with this. Begin your day with intention. Before anything else, ask, what actually and honestly matters for me today? Not everything, just the truth of today. And be patient with yourself and wait for the answer. It may come while you're brushing your teeth, or it may come while you're making your morning coffee. Just give yourself time to answer that defining question. What actually and honestly matters for me today? Here's another thing. Pause before automatic yeses. Not every yes is aligned. Some yeses come from guilt or pressure or habit. Pause and ask yourself, do I truly want this? Or why would I say yes to this? Here's another question. What are the outcomes of me saying yes? Am I looking for approval or a recognition from this yes? Next, notice when you're disconnected. Check in throughout your day. Am I here right now or just going through the motions? Why am I disconnected? Awareness creates choices. And here's another one. Align small actions with your values. Purpose is not built in big decisions. It's built in the small alignments and how you reset, how you speak to yourself, how you treat yourself, how you treat others, how you move through your day. I've spoken to you about layers in your life. Well, these alignments, those are your layers. When you start living like this, life doesn't just get busier or quieter. It gets clearer and more personal for you. Okay, let's wrap this up. Purpose is not something you chase. It's something you return to through awareness, through presence, through intentional choices that match your values. And over time, your life begins to feel different, not because everything changes overnight, but because you start showing up differently and you show up in what's already there, more aware, more grounded, more you, and that changes everything. All right. I'm going to give you some challenges to try this week, okay? So let's slow this down and you choose one of these challenges to accomplish. Pause before one decision each day. Start your morning with one intentional question and give yourself time to answer it. Notice one area where you're on autopilot and ask yourself why. Or choose one action that feels aligned instead of rushed. Remember, intention is not a concept, it's practice, and small awareness is where everything begins. If this conversation spoke to you, I invite you into something I created for this exact process, my 30-day personal growth challenge. This is designed to help you slow down, notice your patterns, and rebuild a more intentional relationship with your life, not through pressure, but through daily awareness. So you can stop reacting and start choosing again. You'll find the 30-day personal growth challenge in the episode description. I'm telling you again, you don't need to get it perfect. You just need to stay connected to yourself. You don't change your life by doing everything different. That would be overwhelming, right? You change your life by becoming more intentional in what you're already doing. That's where everything begins to shift for you. And remember, you're not lost. You are becoming aware again. And that, my friend, changes everything. We'll see you on the next show.